Hello, everyone. This is Pradeep. It's Monday around 1 p.m. here in Hungary, and I am excited to get on the call with you all and continue our discussion. We had a long AMA session about 10 days ago, and we are going to continue that today. And my expectation is that we will not finish all the questions today, so we will do one more before the holidays. So I've already told the team to plan for another AMA around the 15th, 16th of December. But let's do as many questions as we can. We have received from the community a lot of questions, and a lot of them are excellent questions. In fact, all of them are excellent questions. So I'm going to project these questions on screen so you can see the question as it was asked, and then we will go through them. And right now, I see that we have at least 20 questions from just today's AMA, and more will come. So let's get started. Let me bring up the PowerPoint so that you can all see it, and we'll go from there. Okay, here we go. So I hope you can see the questions. The first question, and these are not in any particular order, we just took them in the order they were submitted. So the first question is, if a client with 10 million users comes on board, is the platform wallet in its current form capable and robust enough to handle such massive network and users and all transactions that will happen? And what several challenges do you think may arise in the platform in such case? So really good question. So each care network is isolated in the sense that all the nodes related to that care network can be configured in an environment that meets the network parameters. The Solve.Care platform architecture is multi-tier. At the highest level, if you think about it, at the top of this pyramid is the Care wallet, which of course runs on your phone. The Care wallet connects to the Care node. For every network that the wallet joins, it connects to the node of that network of that wallet. So there is a node per wallet per network. So if we have 100 node network, meaning 100 participants in that network are allowed to join, let's say a small clinic, then you have a 100 node configuration. And if you have a 1,000,000 node network where you have 1,000,000 participants and you have a 1,000,000 node configuration. So the network is bounded by the number of nodes that are allowed, that are expected, and that have joined. This is how DCAN was done in case of diabetes care network many years ago. It was designed to run inside a specific boundary of patients and doctors. If you remember, 1,100 doctors and 350,000 patients was the expected full scale of DCAN for a single client. So that was designed to handle that volume of nodes. So really, end of the day, we need to make sure that the network sizing, or really nodes, number of nodes that the network expects, is configured properly. And you can change it on the fly. It's not a question. So in a nutshell, each network can be configured for its expected number of nodes, and that number of expected nodes can be changed on the fly. So what are the single points of failure that can happen? Well, a single wallet can fail, a phone can die, phone can be lost, a phone can run out of space. In that case, that particular wallet may warn the phone user that they're out of disk space, or they need to move data off their wallet ledger into their node ledger, which will happen automatically anyway. Then you can have a node can fail, and then you can have a network which has a huge number of nodes, can have a configuration that requires more nodes to be set up. But really, there is no single point of failure other than the wallet and the node. So if a wallet fails or a node fails, a single user is affected. So architecturally, we can scale as much as we want, because in terms of the mainnet and in terms of the care protocol and the care nodes, the nodes are individualized. It's kind of Web3 architecture, right? Every node is a container, both data and compute. If a single node fails, then single node worth of data and compute need to be reconstructed. In the next version, Raj is working on a floating node concept where a node can be instantiated in real time. So in other words, instead of, not only do we have to allow nodes to be geo-pinned, we can also allow nodes to be geo-pinned and still float inside a environment where if a single environment fails, the node simply floats over to the other environment. So that will give us more resiliency. But we have plenty of resilience today. So as it comes, most of our networks are between 10,000 and 100,000 nodes. Yes, we are expecting 10 million or even bigger node network, but in the true sense, because each node is an individual data and compute store, it doesn't really matter how many nodes there are. It's just a number in the CNC, in the care network configuration file. And that number can be 10 or 10 million. It's just a number. Each node is individual anyway. What are the challenges? So I think the biggest challenge we have is that clients expect the data to be geofenced. So the biggest issue we have, and not necessarily so much an issue, but also a strength, is that the more and more larger networks we are designing, the more the client is asking for a geofencing and geo access and geolocation type controls. So let me give you a very specific example. Today, a network can be configured for access along two axes. Which country the wallets have to be registered for that network to be available to them, and what country the phone number needs to be registered for the network to be available to them. So you could have a combination or individual parameters saying phone must be Korean or country must be Korean or both must be Korean for a network to become visible in a wallet, or same could be true for US or Uganda, doesn't matter, but any country, the client, the insurance company, the hospital, the government agency can say, look, my network is global, it's accessible, but it's only accessible to those wallets who meet the criteria of accessibility. And the criteria of accessibility is the wallet must be registered in Pakistan and must be linked to a Pakistani phone number. Okay, that's done. We do that today. But now they're asking for, hey, I also want to check for location. And I don't want to make my wallet available, or my network available to wallets that are not physically located in Pakistan. Now, we are against capturing too much patient information. We don't want to intrude in people's lives. So geolocation is something that we don't always expect the phone to be available to activate. So then we have to work out the question of, okay, do we allow geolocation as a requirement? Meaning that if a network requires geolocation of the wallet and the geolocation is turned on, can you not join the network? Or if you have joined it, can you access it even if you are no longer publishing your geolocation data? So those are the kind of challenges that we have to think about, and we are thinking about, but there's a lot to do with compliance at the same time maintaining your and my privacy and autonomy. So the biggest issue for us as we scale is legal and compliance. And that's why I have been very keen to bring in a general counsel who is really deep into these questions. These are ethical questions, these are moral questions, these are professional questions, and they're also regulatory questions. So I'm very pleased to say, unrelated to this question, that we have brought in and finalized our general counsel who will start early January, who will help us resolve these issues with the client. Technologically, we can do it. It's more, what does Solve.Care stand for? And Solve.Care stands for patient autonomy, patient rights, and patient control over data and identity. So we are mostly spending our time negotiating with networks who are asking for way more information from and about the patient than we think is appropriate. And in that case, sometimes we may even walk away from a client who is going to use a platform in a way that we believe harms the patient. So it's that question that I think is going to be the bigger question. Technology is not our problem. Having said that, when you talk about 10 million nodes, the single point of failure, if there is any, is going to be the network ledger. The network ledger, of course, is on a chain. And of course, we write first to the network ledger, then we write to the main event ledger, which is on the Ethereum. So as a result of that, the network ledger as a single point of failure needs to be looked at to make sure that we are able to handle all the event volume from 10 million wallets and really 10 million nodes, sending it to the ledger. Now, the good thing is this is a queued mechanism. So even if a node resolves an event, it can still send that event to the network ledger. And if it takes a few hundred milliseconds or even a second or two for that event to write to the ledger, no big deal. But eventually that is a single point of failure that we need to look at, because what if the network ledger has some kind of an issue? Now, of course, being a blockchain, we should be able to trace it backwards and see where the issue is, but better to prevent the issue. Long and short of it is, we have built the platform in a decentralized way, and we are closer to delivering on the Web3 promise than anybody else ever has come, because we have decentralized not just data, but also compute. As a result of that, the node concept is very scalable, but of course, we will see challenges as we scale up beyond 10 million or more users. Today, we don't know of a single point of failure, but as it occurs, we will find it. And I'm sure we'll find it way before we hit that scale. But end of the day, I believe we are uniquely positioned to deal with this sizing, or any size you can throw at us. My personal view is that as we march down the road of more and more care networks, and as we create a global network of networks, meaning different clients in different parts of the world have launched care networks that are all interoperable and available through the Care wallet, we will create the first true global healthcare network made up of a bunch of regional care networks. We will hit 1 billion users. We should, and we will. Now, whether that takes a year or 5, doesn't matter. We will hit 1 billion plus users. And at that point in time, we'll have a different scaling problem. I don't think our problem will arise at 10 million users. Our problem arises at a much higher level. And the biggest problem I see us hitting is regulatory. And the second biggest problem we will hit is when you are that scale and you have that many people using your platform, there'll be negative elements who will try to hack or break the system, or to get inside the system to steal anybody's data. Now, given the data is decentralized and every node contains wallet-specific data and every wallet controls the keys of their node, at best, they can hack a single node at a time. But even that, we will continue to strengthen. So the point of this is we are prepared for massive scaling. There'll always be work to be done, but we are ready, and 10 million users does not scare me. Let's go to the next one. So this question is, please, can you tell us the current state, ability, and model of the functionality of the wallet to redeem or convert Solve into different fiat currencies and vice versa? For the wallet and token to function very well, a very robust functionality of this must be in place. Yes, absolutely. And I think we are unique in the entire planet with the way we have done the Solve token. And if you have not seen this diagram, I will share with you a very robust Solve architecture that is unique and unequaled in the market, both in healthcare and outside of healthcare. If you give me a minute, I'm going to show you a diagram called Solve is Gas. So I'll be right back with this picture that I want you to take a look at, and we will then go from there. So give me a second. Okay, let's get back to it. Let me show you this picture. Some of you may have already seen this, but I want you to take a look at it again. So it's not easy to do healthcare transactions. Healthcare is more complex than simple e-commerce. Health commerce is 10 times more complicated than e-commerce. And we built our platform and we designed the Solve to deal with health commerce, not with e-commerce. So what are we talking about here? So let's look at the right-hand side here. In the gas model, Care Wallet A sends a care card to B. And Care Wallet B responds with a care card to Wallet A, the fundamental atomic unit of wallets and cards. When these cards move from A to B or B to A, that event triggers a gas fee. And that gas fee is collected from either the sender or paid for by the network wallet, depends upon the network configuration. We don't care. But let's say that the care network wallet, which is a network sponsor, let's say insurance company or Blue Cross or Kaiser or Mayo or AIA, doesn't matter who the network sponsor of the network is. It could be insurance, government, hospital, health system, clinic, pharmacy network, provider network, individual practitioner, doesn't matter. When they sponsor a network, they decide who's paying the gas fee. So if A sends a card to B and the gas fee is to be withdrawn from wallet A, then that act of sending a card will result in a small tax solve to be withdrawn. 1 cent per transaction is the baseline. That solve goes into the care network wallet, which belongs to the network sponsor. Similarly, B sends a card to A and the B is supposed to pay for that gas, then that gas fee goes from B wallet to care network wallet automatically. If the network does not charge the wallets a gas fee, then the network wallet accrues a negative balance and the gas fee is in this ledger as a negative. Solve token reserve wallet withdraws from the care network wallet every day, the end of the day, all the accumulated transactions from all these wallets. Now, if the network wallet has collected gas from A and B, then this already has those tokens. And if it doesn't, then the job of the network sponsor is to replenish the care network wallet with Solve tokens enough to meet the daily drawdown by STR. Okay. Now, this is how gas works. This is one use of Solve. This is the gas model. Ethereum gas fee is similar to Solve, but Solve gas drives the wallet-to-wallet interaction. Then there is a second use of Solve here, which is called a payment. It's an A-B payment model, which is different. Dr. Wallet B sends a bill card to patient wallet A saying, hey, last week you came to visit me and you owe me 100 Solve. Patient wallet A responds to that bill card with a payment card with Solve tokens attached to it, and A is transferring wallets to B. In that case, the payment moves the tokens from A to B. And of course, this event triggered the gas fee, but that's not the topic we're talking about. We're talking about an A-B payment. The tokens that accrue in B wallet can then be redeemed against a care network wallet. We'll talk about that in a minute. So this is how payment works, A-B payment. B sends a request for payment, A sends a response to that payment. The third model of Solve is that A buys a service from the network, let's say Uber, or they buy a device from the care marketplace, or they are doing some kind of a third-party service consumption or product consumption, and that party doesn't have their own wallet on the system. They are selling the service through the care network wallet. So let's say in this case, we are selling a device, the Ring device that we are currently integrating. That device is ordered by the wallet A. Wallet A sends a payment for that device. That payment goes to the care network wallet, which is the same as here. The care network wallet is contractually obliged to pay the Ring manufacturer whatever their net cost is. And that fee is paid to the device manufacturer by the network wallet, either in Solve or in fiat, depending upon what their contractual arrangement is. But A always pays to the network wallet in Solve. So this is how the third-party fees work. And we call them fees because not just devices you're buying, you're also buying services. Uber Ride is a good example. This is how Uber is implemented. This is how Lyft is implemented. We are working right now with a potential digital diagnostic company that can scan your skin to see if you have any melanoma or any other or cancer, and that transaction will cost Solve tokens. So you'll be able to scan it in the wallet, capture your scan, and you'll be able to see if you have any part of your body where there's a risk of cancer, and that transaction goes in your wallet, but the fee goes into the care network wallet from where it's paid out to the digital therapeutic company. You can integrate anything, devices, services, AI, machine learning, remote diagnostics, everything. So in this model, third parties and third-party solutions worldwide can then integrate into, and they can choose which network they want to sell their service through. They want to sell it through DCAN, or they want to sell it through the Koreans Are Winners network, which we actually will publish various new therapies through Koreans Are Winners network. So the point is that these networks can evolve over time. They're meant to evolve, every care network, and third-party services and product provider can plug in and promote their products and services through any network they want, right? So and of course, they have to have an agreement with the network sponsor. This is the third model. Now, Now gets to the most complex part, the redemption model. So now B has collected tokens, and so has the Care Network wallet, right? Do you have tokens here? How do you redeem them? So what B does is B sends a redemption request to the Care Network wallet saying, I need my money. I have these tokens. There are two scenarios here. The redemption model has two very distinct redemption models. That's defined at the network level, not the wallet level. If the network says that the price that B can redeem their tokens is the fixed value at the point of payment by the patient, then it's called deposit value redemption. When A sends a solve from A to B here, whatever the market price of solve is locked in, and that's the price B is guaranteed to redeem at, in which case B takes no market fluctuation. In that scenario, the Care Network wallet will execute what is called a deposit value redemption. And the tokens that are sent by B to network wallet will be redeemed against the value of solve at the point of deposit or point of payment by A. Now, if that's not the case, and the tokens are redeemable at market value, which is the default, then when B sends the tokens to network wallet for redemption, the network wallet gives B the money equal to the market price at the point of redemption. There's no consideration of what was the price of token at the point of payment. So Solve token operates in two different modalities. One is what we call a stable coin, which becomes a stable payment coin when A sends tokens to B. We convert those tokens, we wrap them inside a stable coin. So the objective here is we're locking the value of that solve into a wrapped token, which represents the fixed value of solve at the point of wrapping, at the point of payment. There's no more fluctuation for that particular wrapped token. That price of token has been fixed. But if that wrapping was not done, then you just sell the token at the price it is in the market at that point in time. Now, the Care Network wallet can collect all these redemption requests, and it only redeems tokens on a fixed day. So it doesn't do real-time redemption. So the Care Network wallet can then work with a variety of OTC, over-the-counter, as well as other techniques to have the ability to redeem these tokens either at fixed value or at variable value. And those techniques are discussed with the client, and we help them set up the redemption the way they are most comfortable. Most clients are taking no risk. They're saying we'll just accept market value redemption. But there are clearly cases where some clients are saying, we understand that we have to accept deposit value transaction. In that case, we set up the whole mechanism of Care Network wallet redemption against the Solve token exchange, which then does all the wrapping. So that's the mechanism. The combination of the Solve token exchange, the Care Network wallet, and the configurable Care Network gives us the most flexible payment system we know of on the planet. And that's why we are very confident that Solve is set up in a way that nobody else has ever been able to achieve. And you need the whole thing. You need the wallet, you need the cards, you need the token, you need the wrapping, you need the Care Network wallet, you need the STR, and you need the STE. That's the full flow for a Care Network that wants a redemption based on deposit value, or what we call stable payment coin. Only for the duration of the payment transaction, Solve is stabilized, and then it becomes free again when sold in the market. Okay, let's go back to the questions that we had. Okay, let's move to the next one. Oh, sorry, there's a bit more here. So who is transferring the fiat to the redemption? During redemption, who transfers fiat? Only two parties transfer fiat. Either the Care Network wallet, which is a client, transfers fiat to the redemption wallet, to the redeeming wallet. And of course, it goes into the bank account of the redeeming wallet, or STE does that. Those are the only two places where fiat actually goes out to the party who is redeeming Solve for fiat. But it all gets run through the same flow that I described earlier. But individual wallets don't do transfers, bank account transfers. All the fiat transactions happen in a location where there is a license to do so. Okay, next question. The marketplace is a very important part of the platform. So when will it and all its features be integrated in the new wallet? And when do we expect to start seeing care cards, journeys, networks, and more devices and services in the marketplace? So there are two different things here. First is Care Marketplace is very important and it needs a further investment. We launched it with very limited devices this year to see what works, what doesn't work. We are going to be adding some significant new device partnerships to the marketplace. And the idea of the Care Marketplace is a healthcare enabler. It gives you the tools and products and services you need to enrich your life from a health and wellness perspective. So more devices, digital therapies, things that you can buy and use, whether it's in physical sense or in the digital sense, is where Care Marketplace is designed today. Over time, we want to enhance it to allow for platform and network components also to be offered on the marketplace, which is care cards, care journeys, and protocols. You won't select networks in the marketplace, you will select protocols. You as a client, you would. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So I would change this to not networks, but protocols, okay? Because you're not going to buy a network per se, you're going to participate in a network, but you can buy a protocol to build your own network that others can participate in. And we actually have already some use cases for that, some demand for that. I'll explain in a minute. And certainly devices, and you can also add digital therapies here. So the marketplace is in a very early stage today. We plan to expand that. Now, the marketplace access from Care Wallet is what we are thinking about. Do we build a standard Care Marketplace care card, which is simply exposes the marketplace in your wallet, or do we make marketplace a care network itself? So in other words, Care Wallet talks to networks. So if we make the Care Marketplace a network, a standard care network, then every Care Wallet on the planet should theoretically join this care network and you're done. The downside of that is that you have to join the care network. So if Wallet doesn't join the care network, then you obviously will not see the care network offerings, Care Marketplace offerings. So this is something that we are thinking through. We have just brought on some senior product management resources into the company. And we're doing the research on whether it makes sense to have Care Marketplace as a standard care card, which means that the moment you download the Care Wallet, the marketplace is already there. You basically auto-join. Or do we create it as a joining network? And my leaning is towards you have to join the Care Marketplace network. And here is why I think it will work better. Not every device can be sold in every country. Not every country you can accept the same credit cards. And in some countries, even payment by Solve may be prohibited for certain type of services. And we may also want to restrict the marketplace in other ways, because if you're selling certain things that are considered a digital device, you will need to make sure that that device is FDA approved or equivalent approved in that country. So from a compliance perspective, it makes sense to show the marketplace by first checking where the wallet is registered. And so we know the residency of the wallet holder. And based on that, we can say, look, you can do this, but you can't do that. From a global compliance perspective, our biggest tool from a global compliance is to be able to analyze the wallet owner's residency without knowing their identity and marry that to the rules of the marketplace to say, okay, you can see this, you can buy this, you can pay this way, but you can't pay that way. So we'll have a very configurable marketplace if we make it a care network. It's much harder to do as a website, very, very hard. In fact, almost impossible, which is why there are very, very few good e-commerce websites that are truly global. Health commerce is different than e-commerce. We are building a health commerce platform. We have built a health commerce platform, and we don't want to fall into the trap of e-commerce. So therefore, most likely, we will launch Care Marketplace as a care network, which will then follow the rules of all other care networks. The other advantage of doing that is then we can go and do all the Solve management that we do in the care network, A/B fees, A/B payments, A/B redemptions. All that stuff gets already built into the care network framework. So why rebuild it? Why rebuild it as a website? And it's really, really hard to do that. And it's not really good consumer experience. So the long and short of it is, I believe that Care Marketplace should be an on-protocol care network. It should be a care network similar to all other care networks, and it should be on protocol, and it should leverage all the capabilities of Care Wallet and Solve Token that are already in the wallet that can already be defined in the Care protocol and in the Care Wallet and in the Care node. And we will have the most robust Care Marketplace, most compliant Care Marketplace if we make it an on-protocol network. There are certain things that need to be done to make the on-protocol network of this magnitude work. Because Care Marketplace will also need to support traditional e-commerce behavior, we need to make sure that the protocol, the Care protocol, supports more of the e-commerce behavior, because we have already taken care of the health commerce, which is much more complicated, but e-commerce has its own unique expectations and requirements. So my view is that Care Marketplace, as a on-protocol network, should be built on a Care protocol where we have added more e-commerce capabilities. For instance, we need to be able to configure within the Care protocol the credit card processor based on the country of the Care wallet, and to be able to change and show the right fees based on the credit card processor, plus the GST or general sales tax of that country will apply if there is GST for online transactions. And all of that should be tied to the wallet country. So that configuration, that kind of e-commerce model is what needs to be built into the protocol. And the best way to do that is for the Care protocol to connect with an appropriate e-commerce engine that allows us to do all that computation. So there is some work to be done here. But if you were to do it as a simple e-commerce website, that's easy. We could do that today or soon, but that's not really useful. So nutshell of this is that I believe Care Marketplace is best done as an on-protocol network. And to do that, we need to enhance the Care protocol, which is on the roadmap. And following that, we should be able to launch a Care Marketplace that's compliant and very user-friendly, and is able to deal with both healthcare and health commerce and e-commerce requirements. So all of that is what currently needs to be baked into the protocol. And I have asked James and Raj to make sure that we build into the Care protocol roadmap the appropriate enhancements so that we can launch a Care Marketplace. All in all, I believe this is an important care network to be built on the protocol in 2023. The challenge is that we have many other care networks that also need to go on the protocol. We have a significant number of client networks that are being authored for the on protocol. We have the backlog of the legacy networks that need to be moved to the on protocol, the NEMT, the DCAN, the PRP, and Team Care, to name a few, and GTHE, don't forget that. And then you got this Care Marketplace network. So there's a huge backlog of care networks that's growing. So I'm going to focus on where the most revenue and the biggest growth is. But I think Care Marketplace is in our first tier of most important care networks to bring onto the protocol. Clients are always first. Clients take highest priority. Following that, GTHE and Care Marketplace take the second highest priority, in my opinion. So in a nutshell, yes, we will launch Care Marketplace as a care network in the Care wallet in 2023. I do not have the exact timing because we are driven by client and revenue at this moment, but it is something that will come alongside GTHE in the calendar year 2023. There have been several suggestions on the poor, old-looking and outdated layout of the two wallets, and suggestions have been made to make the UI more modern and beautiful, colorful, with more simple pictures to make it more attractive to the average user, since it is what they're expected to use every day for their health. This is a really good question. I want to break it apart into three very different and very important considerations. The first is that Care Wallet actually should be colorless. There should be no color in the Care Wallet. Why? Because we want the Care network to have the client specified color and branding. So the user should look at the Care Wallet as a very clean, simple, and non-branded application. Yes, the branding is of Solve.Care, and Solve.Care logo is there, but the care wallet is very personalized, and it is personalized based on the care networks you join. So what we are working on doing is to taking the color out of the care wallet so that your base wallet is clean like Apple. It has no color and no accents. And then you have the care network home card, whichever network you join, to be more branded. Point number one. Point number two, 100% agree that it needs to be something that is very simple. So care cards as a base object is configurable. It's a grid, right? A care card has header, footer, and 7 full height rows in between. It has 4 corners. It has the next best action. It has a very well-defined structure. The idea being that every care card, no matter which care network you join, no matter what function you are performing, whether you're buying a device or using a device or sharing the data from the device with the doctor or dealing with prescription, whatever you're doing, care cards have a unified UX. So that has to be and has been repeatedly enhanced, and we will continue to enhance the care card base class. But that's not the UI, that's the UX. And then there is a question about UI, how much configurability we want to offer in the UI. So we have already introduced the concept of that you can create these 7 tiles that make up the body of the care card can be merged. You can create a 3-to-1 configuration where you can have 3 tiles merged into one, 2 tiles together, and then 1 tile at the bottom. That creates your or 3-to-2 in this case, 7 tile structure. So the point here is that we are standardizing the card further and further. Now comes the question of the UI. How much configurability do we give our clients in the UI? Today, there are only about 6 or 7 tile designs. Each of the 7 tiles, you have a choice of about half a dozen tile designs. One of the key things we want to do in 2023 is to engage the community in building more tile designs. The tile has a certain construct. You have a certain width and certain height and certain space. And within that tile, you can have a single height, double height, or triple height tile. So we are going to allow the community to design their own tiles. Today, we have designed them with just the core concepts in place, such as single row, multi-row, single, double, triple, 4-row tile, 1, 2, 3, 4 column tile. So we've done the basics, but there's only about 6, 7 tile designs. We expect to have hundreds, but who's going to do that work is the community. And they're going to get paid for that, either as a one-time, or if somebody's tile design really takes off, they can charge a token price for that tile to be used again and again and again. So that whole notion that the community should author their own tiles and tile designs and then use them through the care marketplace is why we haven't built a lot of tiles. Our job is to prove the concept, get the clients into production, and then give them the ability to replace tiles with more community-built library of tiles. And the less we build, the better, because the more should be built by the community. I don't know if this is true or false, but there is a legend I heard that when Apple was designing the App Store, many in Apple were advocating for Apple to build a bunch of apps, whether it's the editor or the spreadsheet or whatever. And the response from the top was, we are smart enough to build the App Store, but not smart enough to build the apps. Some kid in Vietnam is going to come up with a better app than Apple can imagine. And the App Store should be a framework for app building, not a place where Apple decides what apps are built. Rather, they simply support a global innovator community to build apps. So our tiles should be the same way. Tiles should be built by the community, and the community should design as many different tiles and even card concepts so that our clients can use them. The challenge we run into is, if we make this tile library and care card library unmoderated, then they'll be very difficult for the clients to choose. And to moderate that, we need to have significant resources. So we are thinking this through as to how do we enable you to build tiles, publish them, and to get properly paid. Why would you build tiles if your IP is not protected? So there are some questions here, but in a nutshell, to your question, here is the answer. Your suggestions have been taken into account. We are stripping out the color, simplifying the UI of the base care card. Coloring is going to be a network feature, not a wallet feature. And in terms of attractiveness, tiles will be made community will author tiles that are attractive and that the clients can use. And we want to enable innovation, not control it. So that's our model. But you will be pleased with the next release of Care Wallet, where a lot of your thoughts have already been incorporated. And I'm sure there'll be more, but end of the day, we want to enable third parties to design their own care tiles. Okay. All right. Let's continue with the next question. What do you guys see? Let me take a look. Okay, let's continue to the next question. In the last week AMA, you told us about how Solve.Care will generate revenue from the company. Please now let us know about the details in different ways and situations clients can generate revenue in the platform and be very profitable in the long run using the platform. For this is also as important as Solve.Care making money from the platform, so as to encourage, sustain, and maintain the clients coming into the platform. And will there be any platform revenue sharing model incentives that'll be in place for clients and consumers? This is a really, really, really good question. Thank you for asking all these excellent questions. So how do clients make money? There are many ways that clients get value from the platform. So let's take a look at it by giving specific examples, okay? Because clients have different models of what they consider value creation. Some of them are direct revenue, some of them are cost reduction, and some of them are value creation in terms of better healthcare. So every client has a different proposition, and that's why care networks vary so much in design. So let's take the first network, PRP, Provider Reward Program, that we built for Arizona Care Network. What was client's goal there? Client's goal there was to improve the timely delivery of the right care to high-risk patients so that those patients can have clear exhibited outcomes or better results. And those results can be measured by looking at very key health metrics like number of people who died, number of people who ended up in the hospital, number of people who got their medical exams done on time, number of people whose A1C went down on a trend line basis, number of people who had at least one consultation with a nurse in 3 months period, number of people who did not develop a gangrene on their foot, and so on. Clear metrics. You have a population of patients. They want to measure that population of patients against last year's results and see if Care Network drives a value, what is called care outcomes, better. In that case, the client gets paid from the insurance company. Our client gets paid from government and insurance company for driving better health to these patients. So in that case, what does the client want to do? They want to build a care network where the patient doesn't pay anything. The doctor doesn't pay anything to use the network. They are looking at the network as a way to drive better health for these 25,000 severe diabetics. And they want to keep them from dying in a simple statement. They want to keep them out of the hospital. And they can compare this patient population's behavior for the last 5 years, and they can compare it for the year where Care Network is operating, and they can say, wow, I reduce the number of deaths by 7%. I reduce the number of hospitalizations by 42%. That gets me the money from my insurance company or from my doctor, from my government. That's called gain share. It's called payment for performance. So in this case, the client is paying Solve.Care to run the network, for the wallets, for the nodes, for journeys, everything, because they expect a lot more savings and a lot more revenue from the money they're going to get from the government. And that's exactly what they did. They paid us for running the network, and then they got a much bigger check from the government. In that case, all the cost for the Care Network is paid by the client, the network sponsor, to Solve.Care. Nobody else is paying anything, not the patient, not the nurse, other than, of course, they're paying for healthcare, but they're not paying for use of the network. But the client is making a lot of money by having good results demonstrated to their insurance company or to their government agency. That's how that client made money. So in that case, Care Network was a pure cost center, but the revenue center for them was the results of the Care Network. Now let's look at a new network we are building right now. which we are very excited about, a major hospital. We will not tell more about that because it is something we're not allowed to speak, but a major hospital in the US, without mentioning any further names, is building a network where they are looking at cardiology, heart patients, and not diabetics, but heart patients. In this case, they want to charge the patient to get better home care. So in this model, the idea is that the network allows the patient to get care while they're at home. They certainly have been to the hospital already, so the hospital knows about them, but the hospital wants to deliver better care to the patient at home, meaning they want to capture scenarios where a nurse should be sent to the house. They want to capture data from the patient while they're at home. They want to be able to send them information about how to manage their weight or their diet to ensure the patient doesn't end up back in the hospital. And in this scenario, certain services or certain cards are free to the patient, and other cards the patient has to pay for. But those cards are considered something that the patient would want to buy because it is tied in with their current chronic care condition. So here, Solve.Care is making money from use of the whole network. The sponsor hospital is paying for some of the services, and the patient is paying for some of the services. But what the patient is paying to the hospital is much more than what the hospital pays us. So obviously, the cost of delivering care goes to the hospital, but then the transaction gas fee comes to us. So we are taking a very small fraction of the actual care delivery, and they are increasing the revenue by having more engaged patient population and who is buying more online services. Let's look at a third type of a network, which is a government network. And again, I will not mention the country here because we're not allowed to, but in one of the countries, government is building a network on a platform which will allow them to take care of people who are too sick to really go to the doctor's office. These are called geriatric, elderly population, homebound. And they need to keep track of this population because otherwise there is a huge burden on social services to go and check on these people. And sometimes by the time you arrive, something bad has already happened. So this is a remote patient monitoring network. And the government is paying for it 100% because this population, they want to make sure that they don't end up with severe health conditions or even death. So that network is paid for from public funds, from taxpayers' money, because it's very clear if the government doesn't take care of these people, they'll end up in the hospital, in public hospital, where the cost will be even higher, right? A single day of a patient staying in the hospital will pay for 3 years worth of care network or more. So it's better off to have these people use a care wallet and take care of themselves with the support of a home care aide who can see them the moment there is a need, or also to keep track of their both health and wellness and life issues so they can intervene on a timely basis. And the payment of that is taxpayer money, but it's a very good investment for government in that it saves these people from having to spend a lot more on this population if they truly get sick. And of course, we want to avoid human injury and human death and human suffering. So it keeps the people happier, healthier at home, and much cheaper. Then you have transactional networks like GTHE, where the provider is paying us for every transaction or every revenue that they generate from the patient. Simple revenue sharing model, where every time a provider consults with the patient on the care platform, they end up saving significant, they see more revenue. And as a result of that revenue, they share that revenue with Solve.Care, but the value to the provider is they have more patients, more revenue. So those are different models, same platform, same wallet, same care network concept, but very, very different payment mechanisms. And I've only given you 2-3 examples. There are other examples where we have family jumping in together to provide care for the elderly parents who are living far away and pooling their funds to take support and to share the cost of this elderly parent or patient. There's a network that is being discussed right now where the device manufacturer who wants to make their devices available to a broad population would offer incentives, discounts and free shipping and incentives through either Koreans Are Winners network or through the care marketplace, which then generates revenue share for Solve.Care, but also generates significant new revenue for the device manufacturer. There is a scenario where emerging and proven digital therapeutics that are already approved by a Food and Drug Administration or equivalent authority in certain countries, but they are not being able to get that therapy in the hands of doctors and patients, that can be plugged in into the Care Wallet as a card that can be then put inside any care network and certainly open up access to diabetic patients and heart condition patients and GTHE patients to all have that therapy as an add-on in the country where it's authorized. So what does it really mean? It means that we can support direct paid, consumer paid model. We can support sponsored care model, managed care model. We can support insurance model. We can support government sponsored care model. We can support employer sponsored care model, and we can support family sponsored care model. And all of these models, the economics are going to be different depending upon who is paying for whom. But whether it's self-pay, insurance pay, employer pay, government pay, family pay, in all scenarios, there is the gas fee, there is the transaction capability, and then there is a revenue share for any third-party add-on services or products that we are allowing somebody to sell through our platform to the end consumer. So all three revenue models exist. In a nutshell, there are three ways we make money. One is through the gas fee. Second is through the node fee, which is the per wallet, per network participation fee. And the third is the revenue share on add-on services. That's the three ways we make money. All three ways, client can mark them up. Whatever we are charging them, the client can charge more in their network. So all three scenarios allow markup. They can charge for a node, they can charge for participation in the network, they can charge more for transaction fee than they pay us, and they can certainly charge for product services and generate direct revenue for whatever product and service they're selling. All three scenarios, the client has the ability to monetize what they are delivering to the patient at a price point higher than what they pay us. So they always have the ability to generate direct or indirect value through our platform. Next question. What is the target date to decide on a go, no go to migrate into another network blockchain? So our options narrowed to a few you can share. So no, we have not made that decision. There is a proof of concept, two proof of concepts that we are working on. Both of them are incomplete right now. I'm waiting for the results of these POCs to see how the multi-chain environment works. The initial results are promising. We are trying this out by allowing the Care Labs environment to be migrated to another blockchain. So the idea being that what if we could run Care Labs and Care Labs related test networks to be stood up on other chain? And if that works fully, then we can migrate the production networks there too, giving the client a choice. When you launch a care network on a platform, you have a choice of chains on which your care network can run. But the best way to do that is to allow the care chain, the Care Labs to work on any chain that we think can support us. One chain that we thought could work did not work out well. There were too many limitations. It's purely a financial concept, and healthcare is way more complicated than simple financial concept. Another few chains, you cannot really decentralize data and compute both. So what we are asking for is not easy. Most blockchains out there either do financial transaction, or they are a pure ledger, or they are at best a data store, but we are looking for data and compute both. So in terms of care nodes running on a different care chain, that's the effort that's going on. I know that there's one very promising chain where we have done enough work and they have done enough work with us to feel that this could work. It's not complete yet. So what's my view on the target date? I think that in terms of supporting at least one more chain type, I'm hoping for more than one, but at least to support one more chain type, we should not only make a decision, but we should be able to test, verify, and launch the second chain in Q1. This is my expectation. Of course, new surprises can come. The vendor might say that, sorry, we can't deliver the modifications you have requested from us, or they may deliver on time. And if they deliver on time and our POC tests out fully, then at least from a Care Labs perspective, we'll be able to announce another chain in Q1 if things go according to plan. Once we have opened up the Care Labs to a multi-chain environment, then having the Care network move to the multi-chain environment is a relatively quick thing. But we need to do this in a way that we can author, test, and launch Care networks in a non-production setting using Care Labs. And once that's done, then we test out a Care network to make sure that that authored Care network, the on-protocol network, works properly on that chain. And once it does, then I think it becomes a client option. So will we be done fully in Q1? I don't think so. Will we be done fully in Q2? I believe one chain, at least, additional chain will be supported in Q2. And once that's done, then replicating to other chains, we will simply run a global project to say, here is our requirements. Here is how we ported Solve platform or Care node and Care protocol from one chain to the other. Now, if you want to support us, go ahead and do this project yourself. So we can challenge other chains to support us rather than us spending the time and the money to be on their chain. And there are many, many companies, some big names that you immediately would recognize that have approached us and said, hey, I want you to run on my chain. And our answer is, okay, we'll give you the framework for you to try out and test. And if you can make Care Labs work on your chain, then you can run Care Network as well. So the long and short of it is we will do 2 to 3 chains. I know out of the 3 chains we tried, one is already fallen off as not practical. So the 2 chains we are working on currently, I hope that one of them will be done and we will be able to launch a multi-chain solution in Q1 from a Care Labs perspective. And then from a Care Network perspective, Q2. And after that, we will open it up to the market. But as far as the names are concerned, I don't want to share them because I'm not sure that the chain is fully compatible. And if the chains that we are most excited about works, then in Q1 we'll announce it. But we don't want to give them an unnecessary distraction or announce that we think this chain will work under Care Labs when we're not 100% sure. We're only about 70–80% sure that will work today. So stand by for an announcement on that when the Care Labs is fully tested. Share a technical roadmap of the product features that are yet to be implemented for both the Care Wallet and Care Labs, showing also the order in which these features are to be implemented. That's a fair request. We have been working on a detailed roadmap for 2023, very, very granular. We finished the Care Wallet roadmap a few days ago, and we are currently working on the Care Labs roadmap. So it's really excellent that you're asking for that question. I'm going to defer this question to James, but this is his task as a CTO to publish that. But I expect that the full 2023 roadmap will be finished before we go on holidays at the end of December. So we should be able to give you an answer to this question in writing, if not end of the year, then very beginning of next year. But let's make an agreement here. I know my team will hate me for this, that between 25th of December and 31st of December, we will give you a roadmap as best as we have at that point in time for both the wallet and the labs. I'm very confident with the wallet roadmap. The labs roadmap, we have another meeting later today, and we are having daily meetings to finalize the roadmap. So we should be in a position to share with you the technical roadmap for wallet and labs by end of the year. Okay, looks like we have another version of the deck sent to me. So give me a second, and I'm going to share with you a newer version, because they have added a few questions since we began. Okay. Here we are. All right. So let's share this. The next one. Apart from the managerial recruitments of CRO, Chief Revenue Officer, and CFO, do you plan for any technical product or business staff recruitment next year? And what particular areas profiles are you looking at? Wow, that's a big question. So look, we have already announced that we have hired our general counsel, right? So that's done. The CRO is something that we intend to bring in. It's tied to our bigger picture of ensuring that the clients and our delivery team can completely isolate themselves from the product team. So in our 2023 roadmap, delivery function, which is the helping the clients author their own networks, authoring networks for the client, and growing the community that can author networks for the client, are three core objectives. We want to enable the clients to author their own networks. We want to enable the community that can author networks for the client and charge the client for doing so. So we create an army of care network authors, and we will support authoring as long as needed. But ultimately, our goal is for community members like Clinical Squared or other members of the global blockchain, the Government Blockchain Association, or those being trained by Inha University in Korea, or our new training partnership that we are looking to develop. All of these entities are designed to enable third parties to author care networks on the care labs. That's goal one. The goal two is to enable clients to, and we have some really exciting progress with even doctors learning to author care networks. Very exciting stuff, which is what we really want to see happen. So that is under the training and the continuous investment in training we are making, and the continuous investment in care labs we are making to make it doctor friendly. But we know that we're going to have to also author care networks ourselves, because that's going to be the case for really complex networks. And as we move our off protocol networks to on protocol, some of them will outsource to the community. Some of them will say, okay, one of you who has already gone through care labs training, please take DCAN and migrate it to on protocol. Here you go. Here is the budget. Here's the timeline. Here is the old protocol. Here the non-protocol version of the requirements. Here is the protocol version of the requirements. Go. So we expect that many of our off-protocol networks will move to on-protocol with community participation. It's clear. GTHE is another example where we are identifying parties who will take GTHE and move it to the protocol. So we don't want to be in the business of authoring networks, but then we can only author 5-10 networks a year. We want to author hundreds. How do we do that? We enable community to do so, or the client to do so. That's CRO's job. Also, we need general counsel to do that. CFO is critical to bring back in, because as we look to raise capital in the market next year, as we look to dominate healthcare in a very, in a very robust growth environment, we clearly need to have a CFO who is health tech, has good understanding of blockchain, has good understanding of healthcare, has good understanding of SaaS software as a service, has good understanding of this concept of gas and blockchain-based revenue. So we need a CFO, and we have already committed to bringing this person on next year. But in terms of the rest of the question, technical, product, and business staff, there is a fairly significant pipeline of positions. I only focus on the executive team because that's my job, but the executives individually focus on hiring their own people. So as a good example, James has, as a CTO, significant number of openings in the delivery organization that I just mentioned. He has openings in the business analysis. He also has openings in the product management function. He's just brought on a senior product management resource and executive. I believe he's brought in a director of product management. He's looking for business analysts. We are adding to the product sales team, sales engineers who can help the client understand how to use the platform properly, how to author care networks, and to help them envision the right care networks. There is that, so you have business development team resources being added, you have delivery team resources being added, you have product management resources being added, you have human resource and financial people that will need to be added. It's like any growing business, you got to add people in every area. The reason we don't talk about them is because they are functions of the executive team to analyze and to present, to identify gaps in their organization and marry them to a recruiting plan. We have brought on a full-time senior recruiter, head of recruiting, who just does recruiting. And Tom is doing a great job bringing in very high-quality talent into the company, which is not easy to do in the current environment. So you have to add recruiters to recruit people. So answer here is that, is there a specific area we're looking at? No, we're not looking at a specific area. Every executive is looking at their own area and deciding what they need. But they have to submit a budget to me to make sure that we approve a certain operating budget for each department. And after that, they have a lot of autonomy in what salary level and what location and what seniority level and how many people they hire, as long as they're inside the approved budget. So that's how I manage. I don't manage people, executives at individual higher level. In fact, I don't get involved at all when they hire people inside their department unless they ask me to come and interview them, which I will. But generally speaking, every department, be it operations, be it product, be it revenue and delivery, or be it technology, all the 4 key operational areas of the company, executives are making the decision as to who they need to hire. And there are tons of positions that they're hiring for, but they have to stay inside the approved budget. Now, what can I tell you about profiles? So our profile of any hire in any position, has certain characteristics, certain qualities. The first is that they need to be curious. They need to understand that whatever they know from the past isn't going to apply at Solve.Care. They have to come here with the idea they're going to relearn and unlearn a lot of their past experiences and adapt to a very different and very dynamic environment. So you have to be curious. This is not a job this is not a banking job where you come in every day, sit at your desk, do the same thing for 8 hours, then you go home. That's not us. There is no function in Solve.Care that works that way. So the profile is curiosity. The second is flexibility. You can be hired into a job, but very quickly realize that you can add more value in another area, and you will be asked to do that. We are not driven by this notion that whatever is written in your job description is what you do. You do what needs to be done that you're capable of doing. Of course, you always have your core job. But it's not unusual for our marketing team to get involved in product requirements. It's not unusual for our development team to get involved in business development and sales activities to help the client understand why our data is more secured. What does Web3 mean? It is not unusual for me to go sit with a business analyst and do requirements with them to make sure that they understand what not to do, because we are unusual in our architecture and our market positioning. It's not unusual for our business development team to go sit with the product team and figure out how to accelerate something that will help us close a new deal. So everybody has to collaborate with everybody. You have to be curious, you have to be flexible, and you have to be collaborative. And of course, you have to work hard. This is not a place where we work 40 hours a week. Nobody works 40 hours a week at Solve.Care. It's simply not because we expect you to work 80 hours a week. It's because much needs to be done, and everybody tries to pull their weight. And if you are looking for a banking job, then Solve.Care is not going to be the place. So we are a very tight-knit team that expects a lot from each other, and we expect everybody to be flexible. And it is not unusual for Victoria, my executive assistant, to jump in and help do requirements because she has an idea and I don't have the time to get to the meeting. So I'll tell her and she'll go sit with the product team and explain to them what the client told us and what we need to change. So everybody does what it takes to get the job done. And that's the profile we always look for. This is a great and interesting question. Are there other executives involved to the degree of Pradeep? Everybody's involved extremely deeply. I just happen to be the face you see the most. But whether it's our chief operating officer or our chief technology officer or our chief architect or our VP of engineering or our business development team or our marketing team or our finance team, everybody is involved. There is nobody at Solve.Care that I know of who is just saying, well, this is just a job that I will do because I have nothing else to do in my life. You don't survive that kind of a mindset at Solve.Care. Nobody works 40 hours. And I can tell you that I'm not the hardest working person in the team for sure, by a long shot. I can think of at least 3 other executives who put in more hours and are more deeply involved in day-to-day activity than I am. Now, when it comes to business development, when it comes to investor relations, when it comes to market and communication, it is my job to be very involved. But there are people who work even harder. I'll give you examples of people who are sitting in the middle of a blackout in Kiev doing work at 3 a.m. because that's when the lights are on. Everybody's involved. I do not know of anyone who is not pulling their weight. And the executives are extremely deeply involved. It's just that they are behind the scenes working hard on what they are supposed to work on. But by no means you should think that I'm the only one pulling this car forward. The engine isn't just me. There are multiple engines here that move the company forward. So have no fear, have no worries. This is a very engaged team from top to bottom. This is a broad question. We cannot talk enough and emphasize enough the great importance of regulations. Absolutely correct. And its enforcement in healthcare also very true. Please update us more on how the company and new platform will handle this perfectly. So agreed, healthcare is all about regulation, but it's more than regulation, right? Let's talk about regulation at a macro level. Most of healthcare regulation has one purpose: to protect the patient. Why do we need to write regulation? To protect the patient. Here is why. The patient is vulnerable. Patient can be harmed. How? Well, patient can be harmed because their data can be misused by people who don't mean them well, or for the reason it was not authorized. So that's number one. Majority of healthcare regulation is around protecting patient data. Now, we fix that problem by not allowing data to be outside the control of the patient. The data is in the node, and the node is controlled by the wallet, and the wallet is in the hands of the patient. So data doesn't get stolen, used, aggregated without patient's permission. The second way the patient is normally harmed is that they don't get the right quality of care, meaning that they're getting substandard care, which harms their health, even kills them. Care networks fundamentally open up and make transparent the care logic. Care protocol is public, therefore care logic is public, which means a patient knows what the logic is behind their care. This is revolutionary, but it's what needs to happen. I don't want to be a guinea pig when I go to the hospital. I want to understand what's my care pathway, what's my care model. I trust and respect my doctor, but I also want to inspect that I'm being treated fairly. And government has a strong interest in making sure that the patient is being taken care of properly. So care protocol makes that possible. Nothing in the world has ever existed before the protocol where you could be sure about the care pathways. They're all secret, always secret. We make the logic public. So we make it very interesting in terms of compliance. The third reason that regulation exists is that in every country, the idea of who should do what is different. In some countries, the doctor can do X but not Y. In other countries, patient can do A but not B. Those rules and regulations are designed to keep a balance between patients' rights, doctors' rights, and the best possible outcome. And that's where most of the healthcare complexity and why most solutions around the world don't scale worldwide. In our case, every care network is regional. Every care network is designed to serve a regional population of patients and doctors. Now, the region could be the entire planet, but the rules are specific to a network. Each network is configured to the rules of the patient population and doctor population and administrative and payer population. So as a result, you can design a care network that is fully compliant in Singapore and have it interoperate with every care network that's compliant with Korea or US, and each network has its own rules of engagement. So they are compliant, at the same time interoperable. So we are designed for compliance. The combination of the care wallet, the care node, the care protocol, and the ability for the care protocol to be independently audited, and for all networks to be configured in the protocol to a specific group of patients and doctors and payers and government agencies, creates a container in which they can safely and fully implement the rules and regulations of that region, of that patient population. And then we can have those networks still be interoperable with every other network on the planet, creating the interoperability that is missing from point solutions. And therefore, we become a unique, absolutely unique solution in the world. And this is why we believe that we will become, are on our way to becoming a global network of networks, but each network is configured to a specific patient population, but every network talks to every other network within the bounds of interoperability. And that creates this better health commerce solution than anything in the world that has ever existed. Health commerce is not e-commerce. You can build an Amazon and sell devices worldwide as long as you don't care about the fact that some devices are authorized in one country and not in the other. And you can hard code all that into your system, but it's a very poor consumer and scalability experience. In our case, every network is in itself configured for a patient population, payer and provider population that live inside a specific set of rules specific to that patient population. So that patient population is properly protected inside the boundaries of their network, but then that patient can also choose to join any other network that law and location requires or allows them to do, and all these networks talk to each other, creating this global network of networks. So yes, of course, we are compliant. We have to be. We built the platform for compliance first in mind, but we also allowed these compliant networks to proliferate around the world and then still connect back through the wallet. So this is a perfect marriage between localization to rules and regulation that are applicable to the specific group of patients and doctors, but at the same time, globalization by allowing a global access to every network that you may need to access. And then your participation rules will determine whether certain networks you can access and other networks you can only access when you travel abroad. So we are basically saying that our fabric stretches across the planet, but you will access the node in the fabric, the care network in the fabric that makes sense to you and that you're legally allowed to participate in. How is the project currently funded? Good question. So the project is funded from three sources. So it's first funded from our reserves, is funded from the revenue that we generate from our clients, and we expect it to be funded through additional investment that we are planning to take from the market next year. So the combination of three, our reserves that we have always maintained over the years and enhanced those reserves when we had revenue, that allowed us to expand and stretch our reserves forward, plus the ongoing revenue from our clients and new revenue that we are anticipating in 2023, which is significantly higher than in the past, plus the funding that we expect to get from the community. Solve.Care does not have any complexity here. We don't really borrow money from the market. We have no debt. We operate based on what we can afford to spend, and we operate based on what our reserves allow us to do. Now that the products are ready and released, give a general overview of the plans for marketing, business development. Very good question. So we are a B2B2C platform. Our client is a B2B client, right? So if you look at our client list, you got hospitals, you got pharmaceutical companies, you got large multi-practice clinics, a group of 50, 60, 70, 100 doctors working together. We got individual physicians who have maybe mom and pop shop of husband-wife team in handling 2,000-3,000 patients. We got pharmacy networks. We got a device marketplace, which is becoming a source of revenue for us, the care marketplace. So our clients are B2B primarily. They have something to sell to their consumer. They use our platform to make it happen. But what they're selling to their consumer, their client, B2B2C, the second B2C is our client selling to their consumer. Who is that? Hospital selling to their patients, insurance companies selling to their members, government agencies selling it to their citizens, pharmacy selling to their walk-in prescription or their patient list. Whoever it is that they sell services to is the B2C part. The B2B is they pay us to use our platform. So we are a health commerce, health care delivery, and health administration platform. These clients use our platform to either drive better care or administer better benefits or manage their financial transactions more effectively. So we are either a clinical value driver, or we are administrative value driver, or we are a payment value driver. 3 ways that client can use, and they can, of course, combine them into one network. They can say, I want administrative value and clinical value and payment journeys, all 3 in the same network. Nothing stops you from doing that. So we sell B2B2C. So now how do we sell B2B? For the last 5 years, our selling has been referral selling. The primary way we have grown this far is through word of mouth. And the most common word of mouth is me speaking at conferences. And almost every time I speak at a conference, almost every time, we walk away with 1, 2, 3 or more leads, out of which we convert 1 out of 3 is common. Now we're starting to convert 2 out of 3. So every conference, every time I speak at a conference in healthcare, we attract hospitals, we attract pharma. The second way we sell is through referrals. One of our biggest sponsors and champions is one of our clients who is out there often referring us to their clients, which are all the major hospitals in the United States. So when they speak to their clients, they talk about us and we get referrals through them continuously, which is the best kind of revenue you can generate. The third way that we sell is and we don't do this much today, but if you look at how we will sell into 2023, it will change significantly. So referral-based marketing and organic and word-of-mouth marketing is how we have sold our clients so far. Why? Because we recognized around 2 years ago that if we get a huge list of clients coming at us and we don't have the care labs, we will get buried very quickly. It will take too long to build a care network, and we will be only able to build a few a year, and we will not scale a global network of networks. So the investment in care labs was critical. The investment in care protocol was critical. And that is what we've been doing for the last 2 years, heavily investing in the protocol-enabled wallet, the protocol itself, and the protocol authoring in the labs. Now, as we are ready to go to market, what we need to do is we need to have a more direct marketing sales team, a direct sales team. But the approach we are taking is account-centric selling, not cold calling and not spamming people, but targeted account-based sales team. So the notion here is that under the CRO, we want to focus on a community of healthcare entrepreneurs and innovators and integrators like Clinical Squared that we have signed and many others that we're looking to sign, who have a target population of B2B clients that they are already working with. And our job is to enable them to bring our platform and our networks to them. So this is one approach, which is to build a large ecosystem of third-party integrators, innovators, resellers, partners, whose job is to target their local population of insurance companies, hospitals, large practice clinics, pharmaceutical companies, pharmacies, and government agencies. The second approach is to have our own account management team, which can both support our partners in converting leads into actual sales, as well as to pursue large clients ourselves. And the third approach that we are looking at doing is to incentivize greater referral marketing from our clients. As a great example of that, we are very excited about a hospital that we are working with that is not yet publicly announced. Once their network launches, we expect that every major hospital with a similar practice in the United States and practically around the world, given the big brand of this client, will say, hey, I want the same network. If you have that kind of a client using your platform to build that kind of a care protocol, then I don't want to recreate it. I want this. So that referral marketing is important. And the way we are changing the model is that we are enabling our client who is building this really great care management protocol for a certain common chronic disease condition to be able to resell that protocol and generate either one-time or recurring revenue from other hospitals in Middle East or in Asia or in Asia Pacific if they adopt the same protocol, because this is a reputable client with a very reputable care management team. If they adopt the protocol and build their own care network, there will be an automatic revenue share for our existing client, and which will also drive significant new revenue for us. So we are developing a referral marketing model where our clients, when they invest in a care protocol, can resell it to every other equivalent, at every other client in the world who wants to replicate and leverage that protocol. And there's brand value in that, which goes back to the care marketplace we talked about earlier. So 3 ways: develop the community of resellers and partners and distributors and integrators. Build an account management team, which allows us to very clearly target and work with target hospitals and target insurance companies and target pharmaceutical companies. And third is to allow for our clients to do referral marketing by essentially monetizing what they have already built. So that's our approach. We don't think that we will ever do B2C marketing. It's not our model. We're not going to try to advertise Care Wallet on the sides of the bus, because it's our client's job to advertise to their patients why they need to download the Care Wallet and use their care network. But once a patient uses the Care Wallet to join a single network, then they have access to every other network in the wallet, and they will immediately start looking at what else they can do. So that network effect kicks in, because no matter which client brings in a patient onto our platform for any reason, for any disease condition or any geography, once they're in, they are now a potential user of every other care network that they can see. So that's our business plan. That's the general go-to-market strategy. And as part of that, the CRO role has been configured specifically to target the market that way. We know that even if we don't do any marketing or sales, we have enough networks for 2023 to keep us busy for the whole year, but that's not enough. We can probably author a dozen networks next year, but that's not enough. And our business plan commits to having about a dozen networks, new networks operating next year. But that's what we can do. What the community can do should be 10 times bigger. Now, whether it takes them 6 months or a year for the community to take off, once the community is operating properly, we should see networks pop onto the new networks being launched on the protocol every 2 weeks, not every month or so. Solve.Care's ability to scale worldwide is to enable third parties to build care networks without having to involve us to a great degree. We will help you always. But in the end, we want you to have your patient population, your disease condition, your care model, your regulation drive your care network. And we will help you achieve that, but you're going to do most of the work. And that's where we are trying to get to. Okay, I know we've been at it for about, let's see, an hour and a half. So let's do a few more questions. I think we have 5 more. So let's try to run through these. And I'm sure you have more questions, guys, and send them in. And as I said, we'll do another AMA in about 10 days. I wonder what events will be held in December to achieve the goal of the Korean wallet event in January. I heard there are less than 200 people, even though it's been a month. I heard there are 163 downloads. The goal was 10,000. It's difficult to achieve. It was confirmed 2,000 will be, at least 1,000 will be rewarded when they went down. I think I need to do more marketing and so on. I absolutely agree. I agree that the Koreans Are Winners phase 1 has shown us that we need to do some things differently. So we have adjusted the program. I believe we have lowered the threshold for the awards so that we have people winning the grand prize in smaller chunks, so we don't have to have one single threshold. Maria is working on hiring a digital marketing team. In fact, I think we have identified 2. We are definitely allocating more funding to doing this campaign, not just in Korea, but in other parts of the world also. And definitely there is a lesson to be learned here in the first phase. But remember that Koreans Are Winners is not a single phase network. The Koreans Are Winners program has the Koreans Are Winners network in the Care Wallet, which includes launching the Korean Care Wallet, which includes launching the Care Network, KRW network, and then enhancing the network with campaigns from different partners. So I knew that I set a very ambitious goal. And I don't want the team to forget that for even 1 second, that we need to get to 10,000 wallets, and then I'm going to expect 20,000 wallets after that. But it is a process. It will take time. And it will certainly go through phases when the initial launch, then the Korean version of the wallet launch, and then the KRW network launch, and then the enhanced journeys in the network, partnerships offering more devices at a discount. There's a lot of things that are coming step by step that will allow us to get the adoption of Care Wallet in the level we want. And not to mention the Care Network that we're already authoring in Korea for the government. So there's a lot going on here. This all step by step. I'm not at all discouraged. The numbers have grown significantly since this question was asked. But of course, we are nowhere close to 10,000 wallets today in Korea. But we are not done either. We are literally in phase 1. So will we continue on this journey? Absolutely. Will we focus and adapt and learn and invest? Yes, because, guys, there is revenue at the end of this. There's significant revenue for us and for our clients for driving the wallet adoption before the next major network in Korea is launched. So it just makes business sense, and we will continue to do that. Most of users are still not aware with blockchain and its related projects. So how your project platform creates awareness about their project with non-crypto users? So here is a simple answer, one word. More care networks there are, more patients join the networks, more awareness there is. The tipping point that we have identified is reached when the tipping point where we believe that there will be enough awareness of Care Wallet worldwide through a variety of patients at various disease conditions in various stages of their life, young and healthy, adult pre-chronic, adult chronic, adult multi-chronic, adult severely ill, adult on the doorstep of death, the palliative care, all these life stages. We need to have at least 2 to 3 networks in each life stage. So we have identified a very clear list of care networks that needs to be launched on the Solve.Care platform in the next 24 months, which creates that tipping point where each network draws in its own patients, which then interact with every other network to create this network effect. And we believe that within 23 and 24, we have a very clear plan laid out to achieve that. So our job isn't to go teach the individual patient, because they don't know who we are and they don't trust us. But our job is to enable the patient to access the network of a trusted organization, be it their hospital, be it their doctor, be it their pharmacy, be it their chiropractor, be it their endocrinologist, be it their friends and family, people who know who they know and who they trust for their care decisions, have to bring them into a network. So the answer is very simply, more care networks there are, the more single network participants we get, the more multi-network participants we get from it. So there's a very defined list of care networks that we need to launch next year that gives us the framework to significant non-crypto user adoption. But I'm absolutely sure that crypto or non-crypto, what we are really talking about is somebody who needs healthcare. And crypto people are also people, and non-crypto people are also people. So we don't divide the world into crypto versus non-crypto. We divide the world into Care Wallet user versus not Care Wallet user. And the Care Wallet users come from both from having a network that somebody is recommending to them or requiring them to use, and having enough network of choice to stay with us for a long period of time. So that the singularity of a network brings a patient in, the plurality of network keeps them here. And that's our goal. So network of networks is what we are trying to achieve. And that's been our investment thesis, that now that everything else is in place, and we have already built enough networks to see that how it works and how it doesn't work, now it's time to massively scale the number of networks, creating this global network of networks in the Care Wallet. So this is our model. We are not a B2C sales organization. We're a B2B2C. The more B2B clients we have, the more B2C clients we have. So this revamp, the website documentation yes, absolutely agree. You mentioned that the website and documentation which both need a lot of improvement, will be seriously revamped and improved after the release of the platform. Now that the Care Wallet has been released, when will this revamp improvement happen? I do not have an exact date, but I am absolutely committed to seeing this happen. We are getting a lot of feedback from our clients that our website isn't up to snuff. It's old. It looks and feels like it's too technological, maybe too much oriented towards the how than the what. And it needs to be refreshed to make it more contemporary. So it is something that we have talked about this year. I told Maria I want it done when we have a little bit more space in our mind to think carefully about the right kind of website we want. And I think the best way to do that is to engage the community in thinking this through. So I don't want to commit to a date today because I haven't talked to Maria about it, but I will give you an answer on a roadmap for this next time we talk in about 10 days time. It's something that is very much on my mind, that our website needs to be updated along with the messaging and along with the B2B clarity as to which client uses our platform for what reason, more examples of care networks, more case studies. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I don't have a fixed deadline for that, but I do see this to be an urgent matter. So let me get back to you on this question in the next AMA as to when Maria thinks she can actually make this happen. If you look back since the start of the company and all the challenges during this period, what would you say are the 5 greatest achievements? It has been very challenging 5 years, no doubt, but very rewarding as well. This is my 5th healthcare IT company. I have built 4 others before. I have always found the previous 4 companies to be challenging, but not to this level. Solve.Care is a whole different ballgame. And the only reason we have succeeded is because I have had a great team around me and I've had enough experience to navigate the many, many challenges we have dealt with. And I would say that if I had started Solve.Care 10 years earlier, we wouldn't have made it. We would have failed by now because I just wouldn't have had the experience and the thick skin to both deal with issues as well as anticipate issues. So the 5 greatest achievements. First is the fact that we have come through extremely difficult 5 years, global COVID and crypto winters and the war. It's been a very, very challenging 5 years. Nothing unusual, nothing usual about it. The fact that we're here and we are succeeding is by far the greatest achievement. The fact that Solve.Care is still here, fighting hard and winning, that's pretty big deal. I don't think I could have done it when I was younger. It would have been very hard and we would have failed. I just didn't have the experience. So even with all my experience, it has been a challenge. So the fact that we made it to 6 years, we will be 6 years old in March. It's a big deal in my mind. The second achievement that I think that comes to my mind is that we haven't lost our way. There are a lot of fancy words in the startup community: pivot, fail fast, pivot quickly, get an MVP to the market, don't get hung up on one idea, fail quickly and learn and adapt. Those are all great concepts when you're trying to build a widget or an app. When you're trying to try things out and fail fast and try something new, that's all fantastic. But you can't build a healthcare platform like Salesforce and Amazon combined, and Visa combined for that matter, and say, well, let's just change our strategy and let's try to build an app here, or let's just try to, well, this didn't work out, so let's throw the baby out with the bathwater and start and do something else. You can't build a platform like that. Platform is a long-term commitment. Platforms are very tough to build, and very few platforms end up being built that they're usable. And I built a lot of platforms in my life before, but nothing like Solve.Care. Solve.Care was the epitome of everything that I felt somebody should build, but nobody ever did because it's too hard. So I'm really proud of the fact that we did not pivot. We did not take the fail fast strategy. We took the we're going to succeed at all costs strategy. And here we are. And there have been more than a few times people have advised me, well, why don't you do something simpler and get something to market and you will succeed? And yes, you're right. We could have done a lot of things just for the purpose of getting something built and launched in the market, but it would have no long-term value. It'd be a point solution like millions of other point solutions. All of them will die over time because we don't want to add to the chaos of healthcare by offering another narrow lane, another point solution that doesn't talk to anything else, that does the same thing that everybody else does, which is collect everything in a pool of data, analyze it, offer you some user interface through which you can take care of some disease condition for a period of time, and then you're done and you never use a solution again. None of those things made any sense to me. That's why we are in a chaos of healthcare today, worldwide. So if you're going to fix the global problem, you got to have the intestinal fortitude to do the long haul. So the fact that 6 years later, we haven't lost our way is really good. And I'll give you an example. The other day, James showed me a document that we wrote 5.5 years ago, where we were talking about what the platform must do. And we also said this will take a while. And he said to me, it's interesting, not much has changed. I'm like, James, nothing should have changed. We learned a lot on how to do it, but the what never changed. The what in healthcare has been the same problem for 30 years. I've witnessed it personally for 30 years, probably going on for 60. So nothing will change till we change it. And the way we're going to change it is to build a platform. So nothing should have changed in our strategy. So I'm very proud of that we did not get distracted. We did not lose our way. We did not get frightened. We did not get tired. It's been exhausting, but we're not tired. We're going to keep going. So that's the second achievement. The third achievement that comes to my mind is the way we protected our team during some really tough times. This year was very hard. A lot of our people suffered greatly, but they are still here. We hardly lost anyone because we took care of them and they took care of us. So the long and short of it is that the company is coming together more and more with a mission-oriented approach, with a team that really fights together. Sure, there'll be some turnover. That's inevitable. And we had periods of great turnover at certain points in our company. And some people have complained that our turnover is too high. But you know what? When you're building something this difficult, it's going to take a while to find the right people. And I think we have assembled that team where we are largely comprised of not just technical skill, not just the ability to do the job, but the right reason to be here. So I think that's a big achievement. The fourth achievement is we haven't taken on any debt. That's a really big deal. Companies that are doing this hard a job and that is working with as limited a funds as we have worked with would have easily been induced to take debt or to sell equity prematurely. We avoided all that. We have avoided all the temptations that are easy, but they ultimately you pay a big price down the road. We have avoided indebting ourselves to others where somebody can make a decision to change the course of Solve.Care in a way that everything falls apart or we end up being out of the market. We haven't signed up with any such obligation. The company has nobody external dictating to us the timeline or to get off the track. So I think our independence and our autonomy is a big achievement. The community is a big achievement. We believe that you all truly are interested in changing healthcare for the better, that you care about the fundamental change that the world needs, and that you've stayed with us not because we have delivered on every promise. Sometimes we are also human and we drop the ball and we have to come back and pick up the pieces. But end of the day, the community has been greatly supportive, and that community, I think, is one of the reasons I get up even in the toughest days and go, a lot of people in the world are counting on us to succeed. We cannot fail. Let's keep going. So you give me greater strength than you might probably realize. I think the next achievement that I would say is the platform itself. It's a really powerful technology that, despite many, many more complex systems or very complex systems that I have been part of building, because healthcare is complex, I think Solve.Care is a different level of a platform. It reimagines healthcare in a way that is fundamental, and that what we have baked into the wallet and the protocol and the node is so foundationally different. I'm no Steve Jobs, but he's certainly an inspiration for me. He reimagined mobile computing. We reimagined health computing. And in many ways, we are doing what Apple did. We're not Apple. They are a whole different ball game, but we are inspired by them. We are inspired by others too. The Salesforce.com and the way Mark Benioff led that company and leads that company, I think is inspirational. So these guys have shown the way, except nobody's has had the courage to do that kind of a transformation for healthcare. We're doing it. We're not just words. We're not just empty PowerPoint slides. We are doing it for very, very hard work for 5+ years. So the platform is an enormous achievement. That cannot be understated. Those would be my top 5. I hadn't thought about this answer till I saw this question just now, but that's my view, that we have done something very fundamental here. built a team, built a culture, survived the downturns, built a platform that the world will ultimately look back and say, that was a game changer for everyone, for every human being on the planet. And we've done so without compromising our morals or our integrity. 5 major achievements and clear goals you wish and love to achieve for next year. Actually, I have published my 5 priorities, so I will share them with you. So every year we do planning, and I set for the company P1s, we call them P1s is a priority model, P2 is a planning framework, P3 is a progress reporting framework, P4 is our peer review and communication framework, and P5 is the problem solving framework. So we have basically what we call the P5 management structure. Starts with P1 always, which is priorities. You always need to know where you're going and why. So my 5 priorities for next year are: first, to bring in a reputable top-tier venture capital to become a true partner in capitalization, not just because of money, but because we need the credibility when we go to bigger and bigger clients and they ask the question, who's behind you? So that's one. And I'm certainly focused on Andreessen Horowitz. Nope, obviously they haven't signed up to invest in us, but that's the kind of VC I'm looking for. One who has a transformational view of the world. The second priority that we have is to bring the platform to the market in a way that third parties can author networks fully. Right now, that ratio is maybe 70, 80%. They still need us for 20%. I want to disengage Solve.Care from delivering the product, the network in the market. I want 100% self-authorability. This is an absolute key goal, P2, P1.1 and P1.2. The third priority is to build out the management team. Now, let me explain that more clearly. I'm definitely the vision behind the company, no doubt. I'm not apologetic for that. This is my vision. This company is very much trying to achieve a very bold vision that I laid out 6 years ago. But I don't want to be the only vehicle of execution. And what I mean by that is, if I need to go on vacation, or if I get sick, or if I end up not being here, the company must carry on. So we must build the management team. And there are 3 holes in it: the CRO, the CFO, and the GC. GC we have filled, CRO and CFO we need to fill. We already have our CTO in place. We already have a chief architect in place. I know for sure that Raj understands architecture vision better than I originally envisioned it. I know that James can run the development organization. I know that Maria is a great chief operating officer, and she plays a dual role of COO, CMO. And we will look to bring some people under her to take the burden off her as well. But CFO and CRO is then my next 2 roles, so I need to fill them. And I have established this team so that they can run this company without me. And this is where I want to finish next year. Not that I'm going anywhere, but I need to be able to go somewhere. That must be there. I have no plans to leave, but I also want to be able, the company must carry on without me, if that's what happens. So that's the management. So we talked about the funding, we talked about the product platform, self-authoring, we talked about the management team. The fourth area that we really want to focus on is significant annual recurring revenue, and that's ARR. So we are at a point where we can author a dozen or so networks ourselves, and we have the pipeline to do so. It's not a question of where are the networks. The networks are already in the pipeline. We know what needs to be authored, both the off-protocol networks being migrated, plus the brand new networks that our clients are asking for. So that's clear. But the goal here is which networks drive more revenue. So revenue-centric network authoring is our goal for 2023. We want to see significantly increased revenue, significantly increased utility, significantly increased Care Wallet usage. So network, all that boils into one metric, annual recurring revenue. So that's priority number 4. And the 5th priority is to make Solve a universal token, where both from perception and reality and utility and positioning, we want everybody to know about Solve and its value to healthcare. We are flying under the radar for last 5 years for a good reason. Most of you understand who we are, but most people don't. So we need to change that perception and that recognition, because people just don't know who we are. And that's okay. We knew that we wanted to fly under the radar for a while, but that changes. So those are my 5 priorities, guys. That's my 5 major achievements for next year. And each of these has KPIs. We know which positions we need to fill for management. We know how much money we want to raise from the market. We know exactly how much revenue we want to generate. We know exactly the kind of roadmap, the mindshare metrics we want to capture for Solve, and its utility and its availability and its tradability, all those things. And we also know exactly the kind of platform capabilities we need in the roadmap. Everything is being laid out in extreme detail, necessary for everybody in the company to know what we are trying to achieve. But those are the 5 goals: funding, revenue, management team closeout, the availability, utility, and awareness around Solve, and the platform self-authoring capability. So that's the answer to that. And I think that's the last question that I was given for this AMA. There's probably a dozen more that you wish I had answered today. I'm more than happy to get on another call in about 10 days' time. We have a lot of things to close out. So let me finish this AMA by saying this. 2022 was a hard year, but we did really, really well despite the difficulties. And that I'm very proud of the fact that we are closing this year out as we are. Second, there is an enormous pipeline of customers, networks that we need to execute on in 2023. So we enter 23 with a very strong backlog, which is a good thing. Third, we are re-energized and recommitted. Not that we ever were not committed, but we're very organized, very energized and committed. And the management team that we do have today is starting to fall into place where we can address our challenges of the past. And fourth, in terms of market adoption and recognition, we are absolutely nailing it. Meaning, when we talk to the clients, they fall in love. It takes us 2 or 3 meetings, and then they are very much ready to proceed. It is not hard for us to win business. We just need to make sure that we can scale the number of customers we are talking to. But it's not difficult to win business when a client talks to us. It's just that we have to make sure that we have the ability to talk to a lot more clients, and that's what we're going to focus on. So we end the year on a strong note, in a great place. We could always do better. I wish we could have done more in 2022, but what we have done, I'm very proud of. I'll talk to you again in about 10 days' time and address the remaining questions you have. And I'm sure you're going to have questions from today's AMA. So send them in, guys, and let's have a chat around the 15th. And I wish you all great holiday season. Stay well, take care of your families. Remember to hug them every day, because that's what matters the most. Have a good day, everyone.